Yes, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Dose podcast. Today we have another very special guest. He's one of the most exciting newcomers to come through in the UK scene in the last few years. Will Ross, how's it going, man?
Hiya, mate. Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Thank you
Oh,
very much for coming on. I appreciate your time today. But yeah,
no worries. I think most exciting in the last few years is a little bit of a stretch, if I'm honest. But I'll take the compliment, like.
hey, mate, there's not been too many that I'd put up there with yourself in the last few years, man. I think you've been doing very well, to be fair. So you definitely earned that. But in terms of yourself, how was it that you got into battle rap from the beginning?
To be honest, kind of same as anyone really. It's a little bit cliche. Like I'd seen the odds battle floating. I think the first sort of in the kind of modern format of battling I'd seen was actually Jack Shit, a few of his on King of the Dot.
Okay,
And then I remember some girl that worked for me before showing me like Villain versus Jai 90. And then it just sort of stemmed from there, really. I think weirdly, I was familiar with like Lunacy and Shotty Horror through like Fire in the Booth and stuff like that. So then when they started to come up in like your suggestions, you just kind of go from there, really. Watch a few Lunacy battles, then you go on to the Shuffle and Marlowe, and yeah, it just kind of you go down that rabbit hole. And yeah, I was thinking the other day actually, I'd love that little rabbit hole everyone goes on when you first really get into sort of battle rap. Like you watch a few, then you might watch O'Shea. You watch O'Shea versus Pedro. So you like Pedro, you watch a Pedro battle. Then you watch some Punchline of the Month videos, and you just see all these guys you like, and it just consumes you a little bit. If you discovered battle rap kind of now at the start of this quarantine, like that could kill so much fucking free time that we've got, don't you think?
yeah,
Yeah,
100%, man. I
yeah,
think the amount of battles I've gone back and rewatched over the last few weeks, just out of boredom, it's been mad, to be fair. So yeah, I've
yeah.
do you know what? I've actually my younger cousin messaged me the other day, just saying
Right.
he'd been listening to the podcast, but had never actually watched a battle.
Oh,
So I was
really?
asking like where he should start and stuff, and just
Yeah,
I was able to give him like the biggest list of battles ever.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
great, but
Yeah, I think easiest thing starting with that kind of humour route, really, isn't it? And sort of going out from there.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
some people will get the bar heavy stuff straight away, but I fucking didn't. I don't know about you. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't. It just didn't appeal as much as the funny stuff to start, but then you go more into it. Yeah, and then I think it was. Do you remember the video game battle? Harry Baker and Quill.
Yeah,
Because I think that's kind of good. It's almost an instructional video of like how to understand the structure of punchlines and rap battles in a sense. The way it actually shows you what they're referencing as it's being played. But in that they reference one of them mentions Assassin's Creed and references Viewpoint, which is obviously the DontFlop's old Facebook group. So I think when I watched that, I then ended up in the forums, and then that's just another wormhole in itself, isn't it? Getting dragged into that. Um, and then I thought, oh well, if they ever come to Birmingham, I'm gonna have to go. I'm just gonna have to sort of see what it's like. And then, literally a couple weeks later, they announced the North vs South in Birmingham. So I was like, yeah, fucking brilliant. I was like straight on it to buy a ticket. And then yeah, you just you go to one, meet people, go. That got us excited to go to Checkpoint 4, which obviously had loads of internationals and loads of big names on. And then you just kind of get hooked, really, don't you? Start going to events more, start becoming this little obsessed forum nerd. Then think, oh, should I start a podcast? Or which I did try and I recorded a pilot for one with do you know Dave, DVAE, that guy.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did actually record one with him, which we were going to do for the UK BRG group, but it never really went anywhere. And then I had a bit more free time. I thought, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna try out. I was quite close to a lot of the dub guys, and then yeah, I just thought, yeah, I'm gonna do it. see how it goes. Then that makes you want to do another one and another one, and before you know it, you've agreed to battles that you suddenly don't want to do, and you're kind of stuck in it a little bit. But yeah, it's been an interesting almost. It's only been like 5-6 battles, but it's been about 18 months now I've been battling. That's gone quite quick, but yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, man. And like, yeah, I do remember you were about to start a podcast. Was it called like the Battle Roundup or something like that, or Battle Wrap Up, or
Battle Wrap Up? That was the one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember that, man. And what happened there then? Was it just it took
Yeah.
up too much time?
50-50 really. I weren't sure how to go. Well, Hulk's just kind of launched very similar idea to what I had, in it just being almost like a news type thing. And then yeah, I thought I really want to get involved in some way. I'm going to all these events. I've almost built up this network. Like, I'm quite close to a lot of people, and I kind of thought you've got to pick a lane really. I thought if I'm a mediocre battle rapper, then I can't do a podcast because I won't feel right criticizing all these really good battles and stuff like that, or there'll just be too much ammo on me if I did battle. So I thought I've got to kind of do one or the other, which might be tough for you, TSC, as you've just about to do the tryout tournament. But I did think that's kind of the logic which I thought. So I recorded the pilot with Dave, and I thought this is going to take up a lot of time if I do it. And then I don't know, I think I was just speaking to sort of Chip and John, and they were like, look, you'll always be welcome to try out on dub. And then watching the Academy series last year, the start of it at least, I definitely thought, I kind of want to be part of this. There's something going on here. It's it's quite a cool way of doing it for newcomers, and it's quite a good way of kind of, well, it's a fast track, isn't it? Like, Major Concerns went from his tryout in Zombie Shack to 18 months later battling Chiller Jones. Do you know what I mean? So I thought there's definitely, obviously I tried out before Major versus Chiller, but I could see that was the way it was going. So I thought I want at least one battle before I do that, because I don't want to, I'm going to be nervous. I might embarrass myself. I wasn't a rapper or anything. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm not that experienced. I thought I'm going to try out on dub, because it's quite I love Dub Scandal, but there's some shit on there. But you watch them, and the crowd are always, they're really encouraging, and they find everything funny. And I thought I'm going to, it'll be quite an almost safe environment just to give it a go. And then, yeah, so they booked me. Well, it changed quite a few times. The first guy I was going to battle was called Mood, was his name. And then I'd written, have you watched Me versus Bizzo?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay. So my first round in that, it almost stays on the one multi-scheme where I'm strapped to a stretcher like Hannibal Lecter. I'm a two-faced enigma, Batman Forever, which was the shuffle rhyme scheme the other day. And I ended it with I'll force cuts through Biz like we're back in recession. But originally it was meant for my tryout, and it was going to end see Mood get swung like manic depression. So luckily I had a punch that fitted the same rhyme scheme. So I was quite late prepped for Bizzo, and then I found this tryout round, and I thought, yeah, I'm just going to use that. Like, it was good writing, but at the time I didn't feel confident selling the more aggressive side of things. So on my tryout, I lent a lot more into the funnier side of things. So it was originally Mood. Then it was Nathan Jones, who's now going to do the Academy. It was really briefly going to be George Kabadzav, or however you pronounce his last name as well. Then it was brief for like a day. It was going to be a girl. I can't remember her name. And then, it ended up being this KDS guy. And he didn't have much Facebook presence or anything like that. I knew nothing about him. And then I clicked on his Facebook. I think he had 2 pictures of himself and his name, Kevin. So that's where I kind of thought of the whole. My first round for him was very much a almost a concept round in a sense. If you remember, it was all what's the word, acronyms and abbreviations. Like the whole round of DTH gave me KDS, and then I can't remember. I think there was about 20 abbreviations and acronyms I had in that round, something like that. TMT, TMNT, PSG, FIFA. Like, yes, that's where that kind of came from. And then, you know what it's like. I'm sure you've probably, when you've been to events or watched battles, you've probably thought of the odd punchline and just written down in a little note. So I had the odd few little throwaways, which I just kind of kept and sort of strung together. And it was quite interesting, actually, because the thing I always found funny about my tryout was because at that point I'd been going to events for about 18 months, and I'd never seen O'Shea live. He was meant to be at that North vs South versus Yunnan, but obviously that got cancelled. Yeah. And then I think he was on a bit of a hiatus. So I was there, this like massive super fan of battle rap, and for a very, very brief window, because obviously I was one of the first battles of the day. So there was a brief window where O'Shea had seen me battle live, but I hadn't seen him, which is, you know what I mean? Which is just quite bizarre at the time. But yeah, that was a really good card. That was a good day. And you know, I got quite a lot of praise for that. I think without, like you said, blowing my own trumpet, it was one of the better tryouts of the year. I didn't have much of a flow. My performance was a little bit rigid, but I could joke and I had punchlines, so that kind of got me by enough. And then that night was, do you remember Conor versus Khabib, where Conor when say Conor Maynard, then remember him? Conor McGregor, where he jumped over the ring and Khabib jumped into the crowd and started fighting and it all exploded.
Do you know what? I'm not into UFC whatsoever, to be fair.
Right, okay. Yeah, well, it was that fight night anyway, and loads of them had a flat, so I ended up staying in this flat with like O'Shea and Mose Prob and Conman and a few others, you know, watching that fight, and we just started talking. That's what really got me a lot more into it, and then wanting to battle more. And we kind of spoke about Judge T then, me and Conman. I thought I've got a good few bits for him. So yeah, that got kind of booked near enough straight away, really. Right. Yeah, I don't know how you want to do this. Do you want to just sort of go through stuff chronologically, or should I just keep ranting? Or
no. So, I mean, essentially, it's we don't really go through like your battles as such. It's not kind of like the battle rap resume format. It's a bit more kind of informal, I suppose. But it's been fun to watch you come through, man, because obviously it's gone from we've had a brief chat at a couple of events and stuff, so I've been aware of you, like, but seeing you at the front of a lot of events on the footage to seeing you up battling, which is quite cool. But is there any battle in particular that's been your favourite so far?
What, that I've done or that I've seen, or
so your favourite that you've been a part of?
There's different reasons for all of them, to be honest. I really like my Judge T battle, because I think there was that was when I thought, you know, I thought, because I'm quite a big guy, do you know what I mean? I'm like 6'2", I'm about, you know, 16, 17 stone. I thought I need to lean into that and use some of this aggressive stuff for my tryout. I thought, I don't take myself seriously as a rapper, so I don't want to be aggressive. But then my background before, you know, years ago was a bit more sort of theatrical. So I thought, I'm just going to act angry and act like I don't like him. And it just kind of worked a bit. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where I caught a lot of people off guard and, you know, really sort of surprised people. So I really liked some of my writing in that, particularly in my second round. I really enjoyed that battle. I hated the Frost battle because I didn't write till really late on. Bizzo, I quite like as a good battle. I think that's quite 6 solid rounds. Like, he's got good rounds, I've got good rounds. There's good moments in each. Some good rebuttals. But in terms of my personal performance, I think Be Easy, that's just dropped on Premier Battles, I'd say that's probably my kind of most well-rounded battle. I kind of looked, I was quite happy going into that. I thought, I've got punchlines, I've got some aggressive stuff, got some funny stuff, got some multi-heavy stuff and some performance-heavy stuff. And then when I did the battle, I had some really good rebuttals. So for me, that was kind of one where I could look at and thought, I'm not going to say it was amazing, like it's 10 out of 10, but I felt like I ticked a lot of boxes to at least to, a 6 out of 10, quite a decent level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's one I was quite happy with. So, and then what other ones has there been? Yeah, Sam Hypes wasn't my best. I had some nice little bits in that, but again, left writing quite late and didn't write. So that one was originally meant to go down at Boardmasters on DontFlop. The festival down in Cornwall.
Yeah, like a surfing festival type thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It started as quite a small surfing festival, and then it just got bigger and bigger. And me and my mates went the year before. And it was a really good weekend. So suddenly when was like, look, I'm putting this together on Boardmasters, I thought, well, I'm going to this festival anyway. If you can put me on means I can go and do it for free, then yeah, fucking sweet.
Yeah.
But then if you remember, there was like insane winds that week, so the festival got cancelled last minute. And obviously we'd only half written. We'd written 2 60-second rounds, and to be honest, I hadn't even done that and it was going to be catered to a festival crowd that had no idea about battling. So it was just a bit not very multi-heavy, just a couple jokes sort of thing. And then obviously that got cancelled. So we tried to arrange it with her, but it weren't happening. The dates weren't working. So one of us couldn't do either date. It just kept happening. So I think a week later there was a PB Academy event. So Briggsy just kind of said, look, if you want to do that. And then I spoke to Sam. I was like, I've not really written this, but if we can just make it a 1-rounder and just have a bit of fun, I'm down for doing it. I've got a couple bits for you. So that's the way we kind of did that one, but that wasn't my best. But yeah, I've gone off again. But to answer your question, yeah, I think for my performance, Be Easy is my best battle. But as an overall battle, I'd say me versus Bizzo.
Nice. No, I like that. And like you said, with the Judge T approach, I think it took a lot of people by surprise in that sense, and because he gets quite a lot of stick, I think it was a good approach to take as well. It was that was a strong battle.
Yeah, and then like I said, not only am I quite a big guy, Judge is a very little guy, so it was quite easy to do. I think the one bit I stepped back and then I stepped into him to do like a stabbing motion or something. And I remember I'd meant to get quite close to him, but I physically put my head on his head. And I almost made myself laugh as I was doing it. I thought, fucking hell, I'm taking this a bit too far here. Do you know what I mean? But then I stepped back and I managed to carry on with it. But yeah, I think it's good to, I don't know if this is a tip or what, if you want to take, but I kind of watch a lot of battlers and then just kind of watch guys whose style you think kind of will suit your style. So for my tryout, I was watching a lot of like Fresco and, it sounds weird, but guys like Frost and Bobby that is a bit more chilled but quite funny, quite cool, quite punchy. Whereas for that, I thought I want to get, use my sort, throw my weight around a bit, get a bit aggressive. So I was watching more like Twerk, Pat, Diz, guys like that. And then I suppose that's just kind of how it's gone on, really.
I've been kind of similar, to be honest, watching similar people, to be fair, because like I'm 6'6", so.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like the one thing that I'm trying to do is kind of switch it up a bit and be a bit aggressive in parts, but then keep some comedy angles coming as well. But I was
Yeah,
thinking about this the other day. Like, if I end up getting matched up against, say, Nathan Jones in the academy, like,
yeah.
I don't think I can be aggressive against him. It just wouldn't feel right.
I know what you mean, but again, that's not your job. Do you know what I mean? You've just got to you use that to your advantage completely. Because then, as well, when you do the aggressive stuff, it's quite easy to then clown on him if it is obvious that, like, that's why a lot of Bobby's stuff works when he's like, oh, a lot of people criticize him when he just says, oh, I'm going to punch your head off, but it works because he does look like he could punch most of his opponents' fucking heads off. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he's relatively big guy. And that's one thing that surprises you as well when you do start going to events, is that everyone looks tall on camera, and you meet them in person, they're really fucking small. Do you know what I mean? So
Definitely.
yeah. So if you're six, like my Be Easy battle, I knew he was kind of short, but when he came in, he's quite tiny. He must be about 5'5", something like that. So when I'm around, you can kind of see my back's almost bent at like a 90-degree angle, so I can get in his face. So it just looks like I'm kind of completely towering over him. Do you know what I mean? So it does work. And if you're obviously bigger than me, if you're 6'6", and then especially if you do get them smaller guys, just kind of use it, because then if they're jokers, then it's not always an advantage. But if they try and do any sort of aggressive stuff, and they're just looking up to you like a little lost puppy, then it just takes away all the credibility. So I definitely would use that to your advantage. And I'm sorry to Nathan if you do end up drawing him and I've just told you to fucking bark on him, but do it.
Yeah, no, we'll
That's what I was gonna have to do. I had to write for Nathan.
Yeah.
I've still got around for Nathan somewhere.
Yeah, he did mention that the other day, actually, that so for me, like, I was similar to yourself. Like, I saw the last couple of Premier battles and like academy seasons, and was just like, I have to be a part of this kind of thing. I've written for 4 battles before, like 4 different tryouts that have just never happened. So it just seemed
on
like
different channels and stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I wrote for 2 on DontFlop and then 2 on Grassroots, so Blunt Heads.
Okay, yeah. I've seen a couple Grassroots. Were there any guys that have battled since that you've wrote for? Is it anyone we know, or were they tryouts that just never ended up trying out?
So the one was for a guy that I know has battled a few times. He wasn't a tryout. He was called like J Ferg.
Yeah, J Ferg. I know him.
But
okay. I think he was on the last punnet I did.
Okay.
Yeah, J Ferg's done a fair few battles. And who was the other ones, or was that kind of it?
One of the guys on Grassroots was called, I think he ended up doing a couple of battles there. He was called like Sewellster or something like that.
Yeah, and the name rings a bell. To be honest, I've not watched loads of Grassroots.
No.
I might watch the odd name I know, but no disrespect, but the quality I've seen has not been great.
No,
of like the headliners, so I've not then gone down down to the lower ones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and to be honest, it was one of those where if I'd have done the battle, it was just to get a bit of experience before I went and battled somewhere else. But like the J Ferg one was the first one that was booked. That was meant to happen in Portsmouth. And then they had a message a couple of days before the battle was meant to happen saying, "Oh, we actually forgot to mention it to J Ferg, and now he doesn't want to do it on short prep." And I was like, how the fuck does that happen? Like, you told me about it about 3.5 weeks ago, but
yeah, mate, you'd be surprised. Some of the, some events are really well organised, but you'd be surprised some of the shit that happens are just down to poor organisation with some. So I'm not obviously going to name names or nothing, but certain leagues and situations is crazy, and it isn't all just as much as everyone like kind of slammed for a lot of the stuff that went down with DontFlop a couple of years ago when all the new leagues kind of emerged. Most of them kind of still seem to do a lot of the same stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like no one's, and that's not me saying everyone's shit. I'm just saying like none of them are perfect. And you know they're not, you know, fair play. None of them are making careers off of battle rap, are they? So no one's paying all their bills anymore just off UK battles. So if they do fuck up running an event that they're doing for a bit of a hobby, then it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, exactly. No, I think, you know, there was definitely some learning curves from the whole DontFlop situation that people didn't really take on board, we'll put it that way. But I mean, it's good to see DontFlop back doing like really good events again though, because I missed that, and like
yeah,
I just hope everyone does well, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think what's good in the way that DopeLot have come back is that they're kind of a different mold to, like, PB's obviously been the most successful, you know, one of that wave that came after post DontFlop. But now they're kind of coexisting quite well. You know, they've got, if you go to a DontFlop event one week and a PB event the next week, it's completely different crowds. So they can kind of coexist now, and if anything, it's only going to help and make both leagues stronger. You know, because obviously some battlers cross over, and you know, people, you know, battles come up in your little YouTube suggestions. So the fact that they've kind of, their Venn diagram of fans isn't a perfect circle is way healthier than the way it was when things started. You know, before when DontFlop did kind of die for a little bit, you went to Chalked Out, Code Red and PB, and it was the exact same crowd at every event, and you thought, well, this isn't going to last. We're not going to all pay and travel for all these events that you're just coming at us so quick. So the fact that there's now two leagues, that there's obviously some crossover, but then there's a lot that, you know, are more familiar with one than the other, then hopefully it's only going to just help them both get stronger. And then some of the other leagues, obviously Chalked Out, well, I don't know if that's completely stopped now, hasn't it? It's gone on to UIC. Yeah. So again, they've kind of found a completely different lane with it. There's some people that, you know, are really into stand-up comedy that will probably watch that, and then some of those guys that do that are still battle rappers. So again, it's a nice sort of transition across. So like you said, we just kind of want everyone to, you know, if battles start getting 100,000 views again, then fucking great. If promoters are starting to make more money, which means they can pay more or get more internationals over, it's just better for everyone, isn't it? So, you know, long may it continue.
Definitely, man. Yeah. And I think I like how DontFlop have kind of recognised that they have to go through this like rebuilding stage, in the sense of going to new places and putting on events and putting on newer guys and stuff. Like I've been to every event that they've done in Bristol since they kind of relaunched.
Yeah, I've heard that they were meant to be really good, actually.
Amazing, man. Like I always enjoy going to events where it's not the same crowd as most events are, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's always nice to see the old familiars, but yeah, I 100% get what you mean by that. Yeah, no, definitely. But like the recent event they did in Bristol, like I literally recognised the people that were the battlers on the card, and that was it, and the room was full. So it's good to see. Yeah, it was exactly the same. I went to the first Shrewsbury event, you know, the one that was originally meant to have Shuffle and Marlowe versus Briz and T-Top. Yeah. Which, you know, obviously that fell through, but that was kind of a good thing in a sense, because once the crowd were there, you know, it was a 500 capacity crowd, and they weren't there to see P Soulja and Kinnell and Matter. They were there to see fucking Crispy and Monroe and Triple J. Do you know what I mean? No one give a fuck about
the like who we'd see as battle rap legends. They were there to see the local lads jumping up and giving it a go. So then when the headline happened, Kinnell Matter, no one was really listening, which was frustrating to see, but it was crazy and good to see that there were, you know, newcomers bringing new faces to these events. But yeah, that was a bizarre little.
A good thing that T-Top and Briz didn't happen in Shrewsbury in the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The way the event went down, it was a little bit bizarre, really. In, you know, like I said, there was 500 capacity crowd, and then obviously the headliners. Well, it was eventually meant to be obviously those guys, but it was still had like Kinnell Matter, Mickey Worthless. You know, so there were some decent names on the card still, P Soulja, but the crowd weren't there to hear any of them. They didn't care about these sort of battle rap legends in our eyes. They were there to see their local lads like Triple J and Monroe and Chris B. So those battles happened. Unbelievably biased crowd. Like Chris, you know, P Soulja was getting booed even though he was good. Chris B was getting cheered for like the most awful basic video game scheme, and so the crowd were going ballistic. So it was ruined that in a sense, but it was, and you know, no one was there to, the crowd weren't listening, they were talking over Kinnell Matter. But it was still good to see that all these local lads had drew such a massive crowd. So, you know, if even a handful of those guys then went on to think, oh, that was really fucking good, I'm gonna sort of, you know, go down my little YouTube rabbit hole of DontFlop, and then end up like us, then it's just better for the scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And like, I'm from Hereford originally, so like the Shrewsbury, seeing an event in Shrewsbury before Hereford was a bit of a painful moment, to be honest. But it was good to see that it did well, and like obviously they went back and did a second event there that looked amazing as well. So
yeah,
all these like little experiments, I guess, are good to see. Like I really like the idea of that, the uni bruv tour or whatever it was they did, where they were going to like different uni cities and
yeah, and there was repeating a lot of the same battles, weren't they? But you know, it was before any of them were getting released, and it weren't for the forum crowd as such. Like you said, it was to try and get some of them, try and get some of these sort of, you know, new freshers or whatever, get them interested in it, because that's where DontFlop kind of exploded, was through sort of going viral around sort of uni campuses, really.
yeah.
You know, in that kind of Lunacy, O'Shea, Pedro definition era, that was what really got it popping. So for them, obviously it didn't have exactly the same effect, but it still made a lot more sense than them just trying to throw on a big, you know, they were originally at one point they was meant to do Checkpoint 5 and book a load of big names and big internationals, but it would have been the same crowd that have been to all the old DontFlop events and that are currently going to Premier Battles that were going to Apex and All Star. So it did make sense for them to more kind of find their own little niche. And weirdly, the kind of leading the resurgence of DontFlop has been the Wolfpack team that got kind of ditched by PB. You know, Tidal and Frost are two of DontFlop's kind of best up and comers. Kinnell's obviously on every single card. Crafty's their champion. Do you know what I mean? And Danny Jack's back involved with them. So it's mad how they've kind of gone in. And obviously Shauno as well. He's had a few sort of big wins on there as well. So it's bizarre, but it's good that they've kind of found a little roster of guys they can rely on that aren't being used by other leagues all the time.
Definitely. Yeah, I completely agree, man. And it's been good to see. And I think with, like you said, if they were to put together like a checkpoint event and book big names and that again, I feel like they'd still kind of slip into the issue that I used to have with DontFlop, in that I'm fucking sick of seeing DNA and Charlie clips over here now.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
get where
like they
you're
should just
coming
book
from.
them.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I've only seen them guys live once, which was Checkpoint 4. Um, that's the only event I've been to that DNA and Clips have been on. But yeah, it's nice to see fresher names coming through. Internationals coming over. I mean, obviously you're booking an international because you want them to sell the venue, really, try and get that that Summer Madness 8 crowds, try and get them to want to come down to see the likes of and it is guys like Arsenal, Clips, and DNA that are going to sell
Yeah,
more tickets. As Real Sick was incredible when for the All-Star game, but I don't necessarily know if Real Sick being on that card was going to sell many extra tickets over here, just because he's not popping over here just yet. I think he will be now, and if he comes back, there'll be a lot more people. I want to go and see Real Sick again, but before he battled over here, or before he was matched against Mav, I wasn't very familiar with him, and I'm someone that watches a lot more than the average person does a battle rap. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a catch-22 really, because you're paying all that money for their flights anyway. So do you pay the little bit extra and just get the bigger names, or do you take chances on some smaller names? It goes one of two ways, didn't it? Chalked Out did that experiment when they booked likes of Chrome and Eddie I, who weren't, and Ted, who weren't massive names, but were kind of good matchups, and there was really good battles on that event, but it didn't sell out, and it must have cost them a fortune to fly everyone over. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, and that event got a lot of stick as well. A lot of people saying that, like a lot of people that weren't at the event saying that it didn't look very good in the room and stuff. Like, that's probably one of the best events that I've been to, in all fairness, and it's a shame it wasn't
Really?
more successful than it was. But
Yeah, I bought a ticket for that, and I can't remember why. I think something come up, like I think it was my mate's birthday or something, or stag do or something like that. But I remember last minute I realised that I couldn't go, and I was a little bit gutted. But yeah, it just didn't look. I think as well there was that little window where there was a Chalked Out event one week in London, then a Code Red, then a Premier Battles one, and they were all using the same venues and the same battlers. So
yeah,
you have to at that point you have to make your picks. Do you know what I mean? If it's if you live in Manchester and PB are doing events every week, you'd probably go. But for the likes of me and you, there's not many of. It's a bit easier for me than you, to be fair, if you're sort of Hereford way. But commuting to London every other weekend and paying X amount for a ticket and X amount for your coach and travel, and then deciding, do I drink and stay over, or do I drive? Do you know what I mean? It ends up being an expensive day, don't it? So
it does. Yeah, so like I'm from Hereford, but I'm based in Cardiff now.
Oh,
Um,
right, okay. Again, that's that's even further from London. Do you know what I mean? So really,
It's
when
probably
there's
a bit easier to get there though, to be honest. Like Nathan
yeah,
Jones
with
obviously still lives in Hereford now, and he was saying it takes him about 4 hours minimum to get to London, whereas from Cardiff it's probably
yeah,
about three and a bit.
yeah. But like
So it's a bit easier.
if one card in London one week's got say Soul, Dialect, and Yunnan on, and then the next week they've got Soul, Gemini, and Tony on, I'm gonna think it's not feasible to pay and spend all week, because it takes up your whole weekend really, doesn't it? So I
Yeah.
thought you have to make your choice then, and then well, I mean, they were off the top of my head, I'd go to the one with Gemini and Tony, but and then the other one would end up like Dialect and Yunnan would be fucking crazy, but you both they ended up draining from each other's crowds, and not coexisting very well. So
Yeah.
unfortunately,
No,
some of them
completely.
fell off. But then now, like you said, hopefully, Flop and PB, there's enough of a USP with them. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think this little break that we've all been forced into could end up being really healthy for the scene as a whole as well. Like, so many people are popping up and doing like online video battles and like just promoting battle rap as a whole a bit better again. And like, I think as soon as we're able to do events again, a lot of people are going to want to be there because we've had this kind of break period. But
Yeah,
hopefully that'll work in everybody's favour. And like, for me personally, I've not been in the forums for a while, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
I've over the last few years, I've pretty much been out of them. I've re-added myself on occasions, and then within a couple of days gone, "Oh, I fucking hate this place," to be honest. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, it seems positive at the moment, which I don't think it has for a while for the most part.
yeah.
So
I'll be honest. I've done kind of similar in that, you know, I was very, very deep into all the forum stuff, and then, you know, more recently I've kind of thought I need to prioritize other things in life and stuff, and I've had enough of this. So yeah, I've kind of left them, and then I've jumped back in just to kind of promote a battle that's just come out. But yeah, it's there is positive stuff going on. Suddenly the DontFlop one has kind of actually started popping again with that 8 your words challenge that they've been doing.
yeah,
You know, that seems to, it was a little idea, and you know, you go on there now and they're getting almost a couple hundred votes across the whole polls. Do you know what I mean? And there's about, you know, 15 to 20 submissions for them as well. So like you said, it is good that stuff's happening. How long we can kind of draw that stuff out for, I'm not sure. If like you said, if novelties wear off, or if people have to do different things, or what. But there's a couple more podcasts popping up as well and stuff. So like you said, it's all just hopefully more eyes on what we do. So
definitely, yeah, man. Fingers crossed. But in terms of yourself, then, what would you say personally is the best battle that you've seen live?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. I might end up changing my mind in a second, but I'm leaning towards Soul versus Shocks.
I had a feeling you'd say that as soon as you said that you were at that checkpoint.
At checkpoint 4. Yeah, that's just an unreal battle. And I actually, because that was only my second event, and you know, when you first start going, I don't know about you, but I was quite nervous to meet a lot of battlers, because in your eyes as a fan, they're almost like celebrities. Do you know what I mean? Because you spend hours watching them on your telly or on YouTube, and then all of a sudden you're in the same room as them. You're like, oh hi, I'm do you know what I mean? And I ended up being at I hadn't quite got to terms with DontFlop times, so I was like the first person at the venue, and it was literally like me, Shocks, and Soul Jitsu. So Shocks was like, oh come on, we'll go get some food, and like we got pizza, and like he bought me a drink, and I was having a chat. I was like, this is a really fucking sound guy, and I knew he was good, but I was actually like, and as much as I'm a massive Soul fanboy, I was actually rooting for Shocks in that battle as well. So when it got announced, I was actually like well pleased that he'd won it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that was just an incredible 6 rounds, very high quality battle. The crowd was on point as well. Yeah, and even Soul's third, which he's kind of, you know, quite outspokenly said he hates, or he got a lot of criticism for. I've actually quite grown. I don't think he won that round, but I've quite grown to really appreciate it as a piece of well-written performance. Do you know what I mean?
It's an incredible round. It's just a weird angle to take for a title match. There's nothing wrong with the writing at all. It's brilliant, but it's just the battle
agree with
that's
that.
in, I think. Yeah,
because it was. I'd say it was 1-1 going into the third, and I've not changed my mind on the watches. Do you know what I mean? I remember being there live and thinking, and I was like, Shocks' first was incredible, and then I thought, And then Soul finished. I was like, fuck, Soul actually dragged that back and took that round. And then the seconds, they both did a little bit of a funny bit. But then I thought Shox's punching stuff was a lot better. So yeah, it's a shame that, for Soul, that come down to the third. I think if that would have been Soul's third versus Raptor, where he's already clearly won, it would just hit home a lot harder. But when it was so neck and neck, it just didn't come across as well. Do you know what I mean? When Shox was still so loud and punchy.
Definitely.
So I think that's what kind of let him down, to be honest. Like I said, if it was 2-0 battle over, this is going to be a body, then yeah, that round would be like, fucking hell, he's doing something experimental and it's mind blowing, and it really encapsulates the whole battle. But it just didn't go down that way because Shox was so good.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And it's up there with one of the best battles that I've seen live as well, to be fair. So,
oh, was you there?
I was, yeah, I was.
Wicked.
It was a bit of a weird day. Like I bought tickets really last minute because I was in London anyway for a gig.
Oh, really?
I was going to see Big Daddy Kane that night.
Bloody hell, wow.
And I was kind of like, I was meeting a mate of mine who now lives up in like just outside York. And
yeah.
His bus was like really late. So I was kind of like having to go outside because not getting any signal in the venue and stuff, and like try and communicate with him all the time. So I missed quite a few battles. Like I missed Press 1 versus Press Bilzar, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I
tell you what, that when you watch the edited versions of the sort of unbeaten grime clashes on DontFlop, they only take sort of 15-20 minutes, but being there live and realizing that every single time they wheel it up, they have to go back to the start of their verse, and it takes about 40 minutes to get through like about 5 minutes worth of material. It's crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it gets a bit boring, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You almost start to, especially when they're getting, if they're doing a 24, for example, if they're about 20-21 bars in, and then they have to go back to the start, and you're like, fucking hell, I've heard this 4 or 5 times now. It's your punchline, the joke you've said isn't funny anymore because you've told it me 5 times. And you're just waiting for them last couple punches, and then sometimes, especially if they're ending kind of flat, do you know what I mean? They're just rounding off what they've already said, and it can get a bit tedious. But yeah, it was a good day. You know what? I was almost tempted to. It didn't get much plaudits, but I really liked Tony versus Arsenal as well. From that day.
I liked it. It was good.
More so for I just remember Tony's, I think it's his second, where he does the whole disrespectful thing, and he says, get down on one knee and clothesline and bitch about his daughter like that in the room. That was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Trying to think I've obviously seen some good ones in my bloody time. Like, I'm trying to think what other ones I'd say are up there with that. International wise, I really liked A-Ward versus Ark. I thought that was a really good battle live to be in the building for.
Yeah.
From Shorts Out 2, the Tony and Soul event.
Yeah, I wasn't at that event, unfortunately, but some great battles on that.
Yeah, there was. That was a really good card. But yeah, I think A-Ward at the time was someone I wasn't very familiar with, and it was his UK debut. And yeah, he really impressed. He had like a lot of like mid-round rebuttals and stuff as well, which was just unreal as like how good a freestyler he was.
Yeah.
I'd put that up there, to be honest.
No, definitely. I like that.
And Soul vs Ilmac as well. Obviously, that's got to go up there.
Definitely. Mate, I've been really unlucky with like Premier Battles is big events. So the first All-Star game, I was at a wedding in Sweden, so I missed it.
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
And wow, not really unlucky in that sense, I suppose, but the Apex event, I was in Thailand, so I got to watch the pay-per-view on a beach in Thailand, which was pretty cool.
Oh wow! Was that a
yeah.
live pay-per-view? Was it, or you mean, or was it the next day sort of thing?
Yeah, I got it. I think the pay-per-view was released within about 24 hours or so of the event.
Yeah.
So I got it quickly after, but I got to go to last year's All-Star game in
You know what, actually, in terms of live battles, now you've just reminded me, I'd put Raptor Red Flag up there as well. That was a fucking wicked battle live. I remember like actually almost getting like the whole this side of the courtroom, that side of the courtroom. That's the biggest reaction that I've been in the crowd for. That was just fucking insane. I remember just the whole crowd went mental. I actually almost got goosebumps how insane that moment was. Do you know what I mean? That just went fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that was a really good battle as well.
No, I can imagine, man. And like for me, like a lot of when it comes to the best battles I've seen live, a lot of them aren't necessarily like battles that I'd rewatch in a hurry, if that makes sense. It's just how they come across in the room. Like one of my top 5 would probably be O'Shea versus Raptor on the first ever Premier Battles match day event.
I wasn't there for that, but yeah, I can see why that looked like a fun battle.
The whole event was great, but it was just the fact that the biggest reaction of the day really was O'Shea screaming Manchester's a shithole in Manchester for about a minute and a half. It was great.
Yeah, I can imagine, because the crowd was so divided. You could tell there was the fans that had travelled that thought it was hilarious, and then there was the Manc fans that half probably did think it was funny, but were obviously reacting negatively as well. But yeah, that must have been good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else has been particularly, because I know exactly where you're coming from with that. I'm trying to think what else was really good in the room like that. A lot of next in line too. That whole event was basically like that, to be honest. E Farrell Heretic, that's a good example of that. A lot of mad sort of great crowd reaction and stuff, but might not be one I'd rush to go on YouTube later. But yeah, wicked in the room. What else from that day? Obviously Frankie and Bender, but obviously that gets rewatched a lot. I'm a big fan of both, really, to be honest, Frankie and Bender. But yeah, I definitely want to see Frankie Fraser a lot more. Can't remember what else from that. Gemini Shocks. Dialect Scoop was probably the best battle of that day, and it was like the last minute replacement one, and it was, you know, decent names but kind of mid cards, you know, not internationals and not the headliner sort of thing. But that ended up being fucking unreal. That was.
Yeah, I like that. Dialect in that is fucking incredible.
Yeah, because he'd kind of flatlined a little bit for me, Dialect, before that. You know, I saw him live versus Ogmios, and he was okay, but he's a lot more laid back and, you know, having fun with it. Same with Bobby. And then with that, he did everything, and he just spazzed on it, and then he started doing the sort of grime flow again, and, you know, he was doing some aggressive stuff. It was just that's almost that Dialect's one round versus Scoop is kind of encapsulates what I was saying about that complete performance, almost, where he just kind of covered all bases and did everything. And then it's, you know, when you kind of, whichever way you judge battles, whatever you prefer, he'd kind of out edge Scoop in every single aspect. Do you know what I mean? There's some battles where you prefer one guy's writing and one guy's performance, or one's a joker and one's a puncher, but like Dialect in that ticked every box for me. It was fucking wicked. And then obviously off the back of that, he started getting a bit of a rise again, really. He obviously went on to do well against likes of, you know, Chris Lee, Ark and Loso. And then It's obviously taken a bit of a step back now, but I think he really sort of took that time and established himself as like a proper UK vet. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's no question that he's up there for me in terms of UK battlers. Like he's battled so many people and put on great performances, and like I always felt sorry for him I don't know if you've seen the King of the Dot battle he did against Chiller, but he's just so slept on in that battle. Like you can hear the crowd talking over him and stuff, and it would have been incredible if that was in the UK. Like that would have been battle of the event kind of thing.
I think I've seen it a very long time ago. I can't remember ever rewatching it. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I think dialect's one of them because of the flow that he raps on, and two, his accent's so strong from a non-UK perspective. It must be hard to follow for a lot of Americans. Do you know what I mean? That really sort of broad Yorkshire accent on grime. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I always thought similarly, right? But I've spoken to quite a few people from like the States and Canada on the show now, and like, it's really surprising how into the UK scene a lot of them are. Like, I was talking to a guy the other day called Bill Blaze, who runs ECCN battles, and which has just become like No Coast New England.
Right, yeah.
And he was saying like one of the fan favourites over there is Mackenzie.
Oh really?
Because he's been over there.
Mackenzie's fucking great, but yeah.
And like I was speaking to a guy that battles on iBattle called Jack Casserole in one of the early episodes.
Yeah, and, I'm familiar with Jack Casserole. Yeah.
He's sick. But I said to him like, who's like, if you had to pick your top 5 kind of battles that you want, who would you pick? And second on his list was Frankie Fraser, which
that makes sense.
To me, Frankie, I love Frankie. I think he's incredible, but to me, he's kind of slept on in the UK, let alone over in the States. You know, he's not.
I can see where you're coming from. I think Frankie's one of them where if you're very deep into this, you'll really, really appreciate how good he is. But if you're, for slightly more casual, like I remember when, that sounds so fucking elitist saying casual fans, and like I'm not a purist in that sense, but do you know what I mean? Like when I first started watching battle rap, I'd love like Lunacy and O'Shea, but I really sort of didn't like Soul because it's just hard to follow and get into when you're not that into it. Do you know what I mean? But it's as you get more and more into it. As far as writing goes, particularly sort of multi-syllabic writing, then he's without a doubt, he's top 5, arguably top 3, I'd say, in the UK. But he hasn't had that. I mean, Bender, but apart from that, he hasn't had that kind of real sort of massive breakout performance that he's then gone on to, ride a wave off. Do you know what I mean? I think he did the Bender battle and then sat back for a little bit, if I'm right, or he might have had. I think his next battle might have been Rivers, in which he kind of choked, and then I think he choked versus Vega as well. So, just that let him down for a short period. But when Frankie on form, he's unbelievable. He's definitely one of my personal favourites in the UK. And you know what? He's actually someone Tom Quee spoke about doing another sort of battle rap resume event, and he said that was one of the names. He said he'd try and see if they'd kind of battle me, which not saying he would have agreed to it or should or anything, but if he had done, like fucking hell, that'd have been an exciting one for me to a challenge as a writer.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, I'm a huge Frankie fan. Like he probably makes my top 10 favourites ever in the UK, to be honest. Like I'm that much of a fan of him, but I just didn't
Yeah.
think he had much of a following outside of the UK. So it was a surprise when he came up second on Jack Casserole's list. When there's, I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
like
he's
he also mentioned like Averb and people like that. So they
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
think highly of him.
Yeah. Well, Frankie just went over to what league was it on?
King
He
of the
battled
Dot, wasn't it? Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah. So he's obviously just been over there. So I don't know if Jack was there for that or just recently watched it. But yeah, he was fucking great on that. But yeah, that'd actually be an interesting battle, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I'd love to see it as well because like I probably follow iBattle more than any other league at the moment, but
yeah. iBattle have found like a really they've got this really sort of likable brand. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I don't know what it is. They've just got they've got their own little roster. All their events look super fun. They all kind of promote each other. They're all kind of it's in a sense that's kind of a more polished and bigger and better version of what kind of Dub was trying to do. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it kind of has that Dub vibe at events that everyone there is just there for a good time and is encouraging, and some big names. Well, some names come on and give people a shot, or some guys you watch them grow and then they go on to other leagues to do really well. But obviously, yeah, iBattle's just been a much sort of bigger, polished version of that in a sense. So yeah, that's one of my favourite. Well, yeah, again, it's probably one of my favourite non-UK leagues, really, I'd say.
definitely. Yeah, I agree, man. But yeah, I'd love to see more UK guys go over there as well. I know Visual's going over soon.
Is it? Fair
I'm pretty
play to you.
sure Nugget's going to get a call because he did really well in their online tournament and stuff. So
Yeah, I think he got to the semis, didn't they?
he did, yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
deserved to
That'd be
get to
sick
the
for Visual,
final, to
though.
be honest, in my opinion. But unfortunately, the guy he battled, I think his name was Rebuttal That, and
Is all that.
he's got like 60,000 followers or something on Facebook. So I think the voting's a little bit biased in that sense. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense. No,
it's good to see that.
I've not watched it to see if he should have got to the final, but yeah, I know he'd obviously gone quite far from. Yeah, I think don't know if anything ever came of it or will come of it, but I'm sure PB were on about doing some sort of crossover with off the back of the kind of like Maverill Seek and stuff like that.
I've been mentioning this a lot. I didn't know that there was any kind of plans to do it. I did speak to Briggsy about it when I had him on as well, and he seemed up for the idea, but
Yeah.
I'd love to see it just because I think Red Flag and Real Sick are the two that have been over so far, and I think they've put on some of the best performances that we've seen from internationals in that sense. So,
well, Flag's been over 3 times now in less than a year. Do you know what I mean? He bloody loves it.
yeah,
He was on obviously DontFlop with Crafty, and then just in Ireland as well, weren't he? With
yeah,
Johnny
Johnny
Darko.
Darko,
Yeah, and then obviously the Raptor battle that we spoke about earlier.
yeah, it's been amazing to see. So, I hope that does end up happening. But like for yourself, is there 5 battles that you would want in the near future? Like who interests you at the moment?
If I'm honest with you, I don't really like. I'm going to answer your question sort of different way. If I'm honest with you, I don't really know how much further, if at all, I want to take this. I don't know if. Do you know what I mean? I've not really thought that far ahead in that. I thought I'm going to take a break for a bit. So I was meant to be on the Anarchy card versus Georgie Roots. I pulled out of that battle before, obviously, Corona cancelled the event anyway. But I pulled out of that battle because I just thought, no, I need a break from this. I don't want to do it. I just want to focus on other stuff for a little bit. So whether I go back to it or not, I'm not 100% sure. But in terms of who I'd be interested to battle, are we talking UK wise or worldwide or
Just anyone that you'd love to personally go up against?
Yeah. Okay. More sort of realistically, I'm gonna go with. I'll go through sort of your dreams and stuff, but realistic ones who I'd say, probably a punching above my weight, but not massively. Do you know what I mean? I'd quite like to battle Frankie, who I spoke about. I think I could give LSD a decent battle. I'm not saying I'd beat him, but I think I could make it competitive, and I think I could kind of go, match his style almost.
Okay, nice.
I don't know if who else. There was a time he's kind of gone quiet now, but D-Mac, I think would have been a good battle for me because. Again, I think I could match his aggression and actually just outright him. Who else? Is there any suggestions that you think would be kind of good next steps for me? Or
it's a bit of a weird shout. I just happened to see that he's. I happened to see that he's thinking of coming back. And I think you versus Bard would have been a very interesting battle.
Okay. No, I can see why you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's. No, I can see why the logic behind that. I'd almost, what, I'd quite like to. One we spoke about on Dub as well was DARPA. I think that would have been. I think that would be almost a level playing field, but. Someone that again I could have a bit of fun with and get a bit aggressive with and all that sort of stuff. And then to be honest, I'm still trying to find my feet and tweak my style. Do you know what I mean? So, do I sort of go the more aggressive stuff? Do I go down the more funny stuff? Which way do I take that? Trying to think who else there is at the minute. Things are a little bit quiet. Obviously, there's a few people that wanted to see me versus Yannick. I don't know if that's I don't know if that would be a good battle. I don't know if it's if it makes sense to do now or if give it a bit of time. I'm not sure. But if that was something people wanted to, really wanted to see, and it was a card that made sense, and maybe gave us both a bit of a look, I think I'd do that.
He's kind of shot himself in the foot, and he's getting better with every battle. Like the Con Man battle in particular, I thought he was really good. But he's still got 3-0'd because of what he's put himself through, kind of thing. But
without dwelling on him too much, what the thing I see with Yannick's style, he's really mastered the battle rap delivery in that. He'll emphasize a punch. He'll emphasize a bar in such a way that even if you're not really listening, you just know, oh, this is when I'm supposed to react because that's when he's growled a little bit or he's emphasized that. So I think he's really good at selling not very good material. Like he got a huge reaction for saying, "Oh, something about you should have been a Comic-Con." And okay, you should have been a Comic-Con because he's a comedian called Connor, but Comic-Con. But did that mean anything? No. Do you know what I mean?
No, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think it's something that I'm quite good at. I think versus Sam Hypes, I think Sam had some really good stuff for me, but again, I can get more reaction because I know how to deliver the punch. Do you know what I mean? I think some guys focus so much on the flow guys that rap on beat a lot more focus so much on the flow that they don't focus on the emphasis. Do you know what I mean? And some battles come up, which is ironic because I talk in the most monotone voice you've ever heard, but some battlers do just deliver, do just perform in that monotone voice and don't emphasize the punch or don't lean into things that if you're scheming, if you actually almost make a point, just raise your voice a tiny bit on the bits that a part of the scheme, it helps a listener. Do you know what I mean? Especially in a room, when it's in the room, it's so hard to fucking catch everything you're listening to. But yeah, coming back to that, has he improved? Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
sure.
there's no fucking restaurante pizza bars anymore, to be fair. So,
but that was only like the battle before Con Man, I think. Do you know what I mean? That was only.
Oh, was it?
Back.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that was an early
Sam
one.
Hypes. No, it was against Sam Hypes. So that was like the Academy semi-final. Yeah. And they, and you know, I don't want to sound too pretentious, because I've had some stuff which I don't think I've ever said any bars where everyone's gone, yeah, that was shit. But I've definitely had some stuff which didn't land the way I thought it would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, it's one of them. I tell you what, coming up to your tryout, it's bizarre. You know, you always think in your head, right? I think this is going to get reaction and this is going to get reaction, and it throws you off completely. Where one, either something that you think's going to get reaction doesn't, or two, something which you think's just a filler bar gets the reaction. Do you know what I mean? That can throw you off massively when you think, oh, I'm only saying that because it rhymes with the punchline, but then that bit ends up getting a bigger reaction. That can really sort of throw you a little bit. It's just hard to. It's just very hard to predict what a crowd's gonna enjoy or appreciate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can understand that, man. It's to be honest, I'm dreading doing my tryout over video, just because, as I said, like I'm 6'6" and I'm naturally really loud, so like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
suppose you can't actually use that as much, can you?
No, that's it.
Put it that way.
And like fitting myself into a frame for a video's turning out to be difficult enough as it is at the moment. So I'd rather it been live, I think. But I'm I'm looking forward to it though. Hopefully I get through and
go from
battle at an event kind of thing. But the one battle that kind of stands out for you, in my opinion, is just because I think you guys are like really on the come up and you're both relatively newcomers, and I think it'd be good to see is you versus Scabman the Scaldy from Ireland.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's to be honest, I don't know a lot of Scabman. I think he was on last year's Academy with us, and if I remember, he just I think he just choked or didn't do very well. But I've seen he's got a bit of a buzz around. He does a lot of music as well, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I'm not overly familiar with him as much as I should be. Some of the Irish guys I've definitely slept on a little bit. I was meant to battle Intimidation at the Broken Resolutions. That was another one I pulled out of. And then, he ended up getting Jay Short, which is a much better battle for him, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, one of the Irish guys like that, someone like Raptor or someone like that, I think would be a good fun battle as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. But just going over to Ireland, it's just good fun, isn't it, really? But
yeah, I've spoke about doing it a few times. And then, I've always kind of just thought, things, either timings haven't worked out or I've just not been on it. Originally I spoke about going over for the first Broken Resolutions, which was, before my tryout come out. But, Matt was talking to us about it and he spoke to me a few times. But, it's just never quite panned out the right way or been the right timing.
No.
But yeah, definitely would like to, even just to go to the event. Do you know what I mean? When they do them Broken Resolutions, it just does look like proper good fun. So even if I don't battle and just go and be a part of it, might be, worthwhile. But it's just not something I've got round to doing.
No, definitely, man. I was meant to go to the one a couple of months back, but with changing job and stuff, it all got in the way.
Yeah.
was a fucking nightmare, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, apart from that, the final battle rap related question really is the one that people have found the most difficult to answer. But
Yeah.
if you were a promoter and
Yeah.
you were putting together like a card that you had unlimited funds for,
Yeah.
what battles are you? It's up to 10 battles essentially, but what are you putting on the card and what battles do you want to see?
Fucking hell, I wish I had kind of planned this out a bit more now. All right, so the headliner, or one that I'd most want to see, is Diz versus Twerk.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
I think that's a good style mix. I think, they're both aggressive but really good writers as well. So I think that could be really good. Who else?
From what I've heard, that was the planned headliner for King of the Dot Blackout in LA.
Right, yeah, that would make sense. It'd make more sense to be on a dot card than on a URL card.
Oh, definitely.
So I think, I love URL, but fucking hell, some of their battles end up being like an hour and a half with all the crowd reaction and pausing and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, whereas I think a King of the Dot crowd would appreciate both styles. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that makes most sense to do it. But then, would Twerk take it seriously, not on URL? And would it end up being a bit of a one-sided shit show if you just jerseys, which he has a very good habit of doing? So it's a tough one where that makes the most sense. I definitely would pay to see Fresco come back. I'll tell you who'd be interesting for me. Fresco versus Quill.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Again, I think that's quite both quite sort of punchy, quite cool, can be quite funny, not too aggressive, but I'll have fun with it. That's a proper white boy battle, that is. But I think that'd be a good one. I'd have to see Tony on it. Who would be good for Tony? I tell you what. So a lot of people talk about Lunacy, Shotty Horror as being like the dream battle. I'd much prefer and think a better battle would be Luna versus Tony, and then Shotty versus Soul. I think those would be. I think Luna Shotty makes sense as the ticket seller, but in terms of the actual quality of the battle itself, I think those two would be better matchups.
Yeah, I do agree. I never got behind the whole Luna versus Shotty thing anyway, to be honest. They were just obviously both incredible and came around a similar time.
Yeah. However, as much as we say we don't get behind it, if that got booked on DontFlop or PB tomorrow, I'm going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd book tickets, don't get me wrong. But...
yeah, but it wouldn't be I need to see this before I die. Okay, Saurus and Ilmac versus Shuffle and Marlowe. That's got to happen at some point. That's inevitable. God, who else? Yeah, it's getting tough, this one now. What other Americans do I like? Yeah, I might as well spend some of this money. I'd probably like to see. I tell you what. Who's the guy that was meant to battle Shocks at this upcoming Anarchy card? What's his name? It's
Joey Gambello.
Joey Gambello. Him versus Maverick.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Yeah, I'd put Mav on. I'd pay him as well. He's a good lad. Who else? And then I need to put Shocks against someone now. Shocks, but fucking hell. Shocks versus Geechee.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Shocks has come up a couple of times, and people generally put him up against Rum Nitty.
Yeah, I can see that as well. But
for me, it'd be Shocks versus Big K.
Yeah, I can't knock you for that.
I know they don't like each other either. I'm pretty sure Big K's, Shocks is on Big K's 4-figure block list. So
Yeah, I am as well. Weirdly, I don't know what. I've never tweeted him ever. So I don't know how that happened.
really,
Yeah. I tell you what, Yunnan versus Big K. How about that?
yeah.
Well, if I've got Shocks there, and then Nitty versus Nitty's got to be on it. I'm a big Nitty fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is difficult now. Bloody hell, mate! I need to put Frankie on as well after we've been praising him for like 20 minutes before this question, don't I? Need to put him on. Oh my god, this is getting difficult now. So what have I got so far?
So you got
Tony,
Twerk
Diz, yeah.
You've got Tony. Oh my god, I've forgotten already here. Tony versus
Luna,
Shotty versus Soul.
I know they're already on the card, but you know how Shotty and Tony have been saying that they're a 2-on-2 team now.
Yeah.
I think the only battle that makes sense for that is Loaded Hollows.
Yeah, I agree.
Because look, Shotty was meant to happen. The Hollow Tony comparisons has gone on since forever. And they fucking actually turned out to be a really good team. I think that'd be interesting.
That takes some serious money to set up, though. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but you gave me an unlimited budget, so that's your new.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, that's your new headliner now. Diz and Twerk is now the penultimate battle behind them two. But now I've got Shotty and Tony performing twice in a day. Gemini versus Rum Nitty. How's that for you? Fucking hell.
Like it.
Yeah. You know what? I think after that, I think that's a lot of real big battles. I then probably would just try and put on some guys, some some of my mates in a sense. You know what I mean? I'd probably try and find someone fucking a really good battle for like Milky or something like that. And like you said, I've already put Mav on versus Joey Gambello. Milky Red Flag would be interesting, something like that.
Yeah.
Or Major Ellipsis. Or Major versus Frankie. That I still want to see that at some point.
Oh my god, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's kind of the obvious of fucking when's this going to happen one now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or
you know what? I'd quite actually like Major versus Scoop. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I like that. They can both punch really well anyway, so that'd be good to see.
Yeah.
Just getting Scoop involved again would be good.
Yeah, I agree. Who else would I need to put on? Might make Tox versus Bills are unbeat. Let's throw that in there.
Do you know what? So I like Tox on beat a lot. Like I like I've seen a lot of the stuff he's done on like SBTV and on like Briggs's podcast, Our Kids.
Yeah.
I think he's sick on beat, but I went to 0-3 and him versus Dialect was fucking awful.
Do you think it was awful? I don't think it was that bad.
I hated it.
Really?
The whole singing thing, like I don't know what the fuck he was thinking.
You know what? Because I've spoken to him. Because I've got a lot of time for Tox. I know he's a bit of a Marmite character, but I really fucking like him. I think he's a good bloke. And I think what his kind of logic was, you're not going to beat Dialect on grime. Do you know what I mean? He's one of the best. He's arguably one of the actual best to ever do it. Do you know what I mean? Not just in this little battle rap bubble, but an actual grime. He's incredible. And And Tux is like, I'm not gonna beat him on that. I can't, I can do my thing, but so yeah, he thought I'm just gonna have some fun, throw in a few antics. Like Tux's argument then was that he probably got more reloads than dialect, which yeah, some of them were for singing and for taking his hat off and stuff like that. But he still fucking he made it entertaining somewhat. Do you know what I mean?
No, I see that. I just didn't enjoy it whatsoever. Like I understand where he's coming from in that sense, but
Yeah,
it took away from it for me because like the first round that they did when Tox wasn't pulling any antics or whatever, I thought he was holding his own really well. But
yeah,
I think from my standpoint, he just ruined it a little bit, to be honest.
yeah. Did you know originally that was meant to be a triple threat match and Jem was meant to jump on it for the final round?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, can't remember why it fell through. But yeah, Gemini was meant to be involved in that battle, which would have been interesting. Gemini and Yeezy, them 2-on-2. Let's put them. Okay, there's one. Gemini and Yeezy on beat versus Dialect and Double L. I really liked Dialect and Double L on beat when they battled Villain and Izzy Gibbs.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good sort of matchup for them. I've already got Gemini versus Nitty, haven't I? Actually, I'd rather see Gemini versus Nitty. Thinking about it.
Yeah, me too. To be fair, I do want to see that Gem and Yeezy 2-on-2 though.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anything ever got confirmed for that, but yeah, they've kind of hinted at it, haven't they? So hopefully we get to see that someday. I reckon it'll be in the UK. Every chance it'll be someone like Scapegoats or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which would be a good battle. However, it would be Gemini versus Raptor for the third or fourth time, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit boring now, isn't it? But
it's on beat, so it's a slightly different beast. So who knows? Might be entertaining.
Yeah, definitely.
But it would be. They're both good on beat, aren't they? I think I've spent a fair amount of your unlimited money now, mate. To be honest,
I think that is 10 battles as well.
Is
so
it?
That's pretty
That
good
works
going,
out
to be
well.
fair.
Yeah. I duplicated a couple of names, and there's some that I'm going to kick myself as soon as we come off. A couple of people have missed out, but I think I've got a lot on there.
Quite a few people have done that and kind of messaged me like the next day or whatever saying I forgot this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've covered all bases though. There's some funny, some aggressive stuff, some 2-on-2, some on-beat stuff. I think that'd be a thoroughly entertaining day, which would probably cost. You wouldn't get much change out of. Well, with loaded hollows alone, add all the rest on. Yeah, that would probably cost you. That event would probably cost you how much do you reckon? Over $100,000, I'd say, with all the Americans I've put on it.
I'd say about that, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd rather buy a house and just skip the 1 day of battle rap.
That's fair enough. It's not your money though, so just spend it, innit? But
True. I'm sure I could buy a house off the pay-per-view money off that.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a fair point. But
yeah, unless Smack sabotages it.
He'd do his best, I'm sure. But yeah, that's pretty much the battle rap related questions done, man. But I've been ending up with a few like music based questions and then some random questions at the end. But
yeah, go on then.
If you had to pick your 3 favourite albums of all time, what would you go with off the top of your head?
Original Pirate Material.
Yeah.
By the Streets.
First time that's come up, man, and it's unbelievable album.
Yeah, I agree. A massive fan of the Streets. Obviously being a Brummie. But you know. What's the Story? Morning Glory. Oasis.
Okay, nice.
And then, I've got 2 in mind now. Okay, I'm going to go with Kanye, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Do you know what? That comes up a lot, man. and
Yeah.
I don't get it. I like it, but it definitely doesn't hit my favourites.
I think it's just start to finish quite high quality. There's not much filler in there. Do you know? For me, I think it's his most complete sort of piece of work. Do you know what I mean? As an album, there's a lot going on there. The other one I had in mind, which might be a little left field, Channel Orange, Frank Ocean.
Yeah, I love that album.
Yeah, I could quite easily listen to that on repeat.
Oh, that's a good list, man. I like that. Most people have struggled with that one as well, to be fair. So that was
and
good.
then
But
Whatever People Say I Am, Arctic Monkeys' first album.
yeah,
That's always
that's good as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. I think I've given you 5 instead of 3, but
all good. No, they're good suggestions, man. But
yeah.
What would you say is the best live act you've ever seen in terms of gigs that you've been to?
Okay, that's a good one. Do you know what? Possibly, I really enjoyed Oasis, and like you said, they're arguably, they're probably my favourite band of all time. But in terms of the performance, I'm leaning towards Foo Fighters.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that was at Milton Keynes Bowl, and that was just unreal. Like as performers, they were fantastic, and it's a big outdoor. I don't know if you've been Milton Keynes Bowl, but it's like a big outdoor kind of arena, and yeah, the whole crowd was buzzing. There's a guy like crowd surfing in like an inflatable boat and stuff like that, and I think a picture went viral of the guy in a wheelchair crowd surfing as well from that day. Like that was spectacular as a concert. That was really good.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to see Foo Fighters, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards that, to be honest. Oasis was great as a concert as well. The only thing that soured it a little bit was, well, one, there was fucking piss being thrown everywhere, so everyone got covered in piss, and and two, at one point I got hit in the chest with I think it was a Converse or like a van, like a trainer, and it hit the floor. I picked it up. The bloke next to me grabbed it and threw it, and it was middle of Champagne Supernova. And I remember Liam Gallagher, this shoe comes flying towards him, and he goes, "Caught between the lands, shit!" And he just screams shit, jumps out of the way of this trainer, and then he storms to the back of the stage and sits on an amp having a little sulk. So the rest of the song finishes without being sung. They're just playing it. And then Noel steps forward and does a song or two while Liam's still in a strop. Do you know what I mean? So it was still unbelievable. And, they performed, amazingly for 90% of it. But I think just that one little bit, we kind of edging below Foo Fighters. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Foo Fighters.
That's amazing. I would have loved to have seen that, to be fair. And I'm a huge Oasis fan, and I've seen them both individually, but I've never seen them all together. So
yeah, that was the Dig Out Your Soul tour. So it was like their last kind of tour before they split. And to be honest, Dig Out Your Soul wasn't a great album, but they did a few ones from that, but they still did all the classics.
Yeah.
They even did Live Forever, which apparently they'd retired at one point. I don't know if Liam just couldn't hit the high notes or something, but they'd stopped performing it, and they even did that. But yeah, that was I definitely would. I'd write near enough a blank check. I'd pay whatever it took to go see them again.
If same, man.
They will come back, and they'll both openly do it for the money, but I'll still fucking go.
yeah, me too. But no, that's a good answer. And is there any lesser known musicians that you're a big fan of that maybe myself or some of the listeners aren't aware of?
Lesser known musicians. Let me have a little think. You know what? There's probably not massively loads, really. I'm quite generic when it comes to music now. I used to be massive, get into all sort of niche little weird shit, but I'd say my music's taste is quite simple, really. I'm big at the minute. I'm quite big fans of like H and Heady One, but they're quite, getting big now, aren't they? Kind of mainstream, not as niche as they once were. Yeah, I can't really think of any examples off the top of my head.
Oh, it's fair enough.
Like that. Yeah, no, it's a bit of a shit answer for you, really.
No, not at all, man.
Like,
No,
weird that I listen to.
That's fair enough, mate. And like, yeah, it's kind of just, that's more like just a personal one for myself. I'm always listening to like new shit and that, so just trying to find new people, really. But the final three questions are like proper random, but the first one I'm pretty sure I know the answer to. So it's, have you got a favourite sports team? And you're a Villa fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a Villa fan. Quite vocal about it on Twitter as well. There's a weird little kind of clique of Villa fans within Battle Rap. There's like, obviously Tidal is another Brummie, he's a big Villa fan. Yannick is weirdly a Villa fan, and Podge Dwyer. So there's a few guys that I do speak to about the Villa a bit, really. But yeah, I've been always, you've always been a Villa fan. Local team, dad's team. Yeah,
there is a bit of a Villa connection in Battle Rap. Redza from Ireland's actually a big Villa fan as well.
Villa have got quite a big Irish following in general. There's quite a lot of, I think Birmingham as a city has got quite a big sort of Irish population anyway. And then you've got Irish legends, like there's a lot of Irish players that play for Villa, but at the minute there's, recent years you've got the likes of sort of Conor Hourihan, Richard Dunn, Stephen Ireland. They did have Grealish at one point before he defected, but then they've obviously got like Paul McGrath. He's God among Villa fans and Ireland fans. So yeah, I think that must be where the connection comes from, really. But yeah, there's quite a big Irish population in Birmingham. But yeah, there's surprising how many Irish guys are Villa fans, though.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got, like, being from Hereford, I know quite a few Villa fans myself, to be fair, because they're one of the like most local big clubs anyway. But
yeah.
When I was a kid, I spent like a very brief stage playing for Birmingham Youth. So
really,
I always leaned a bit more towards Birmingham, to be honest with you. But
yeah, no, it makes sense if you played for them. I don't actually. I mean, they're biggest rivals and that. So my mum's husband, he works with Jude Bellingham's dad. So I've known of him for the last couple of years, and even though I don't like blues, I've quite liked seeing him do well for them. Do you know what I mean? Just because it's someone that I've never met him or anything, but and you just become aware of someone a little bit before everyone else, so you quite sort of like seeing them sort of do well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he's a bit like that. But yeah. Yeah, nice. I'd never admit to liking the blues or a blues player, but Jude's all right.
yeah, he looks incredible as well, to be fair to him. Like I think there's like a huge ceiling ahead of him as well.
Oh yeah, massively. I think he could go. Well, he'll go somewhere in the summer. I think he'll go abroad. To be honest,
I think Dortmund would be perfect.
Yeah. Dortmund definitely would. Providing Sancho stayed, I think that'd help the transition a little bit. Being a young, they don't get enough credit for it really when footballers do it. But like at 16 years old to move to a different country like that, I mean, yeah, you're never gonna have to worry about money, and you're paid to play football, and they obviously look after you and house you up. But it's still quite a daunting thing for him to move to a country you don't know the language. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah, I think Dortmund would make sense. I'm sure Bayern were linked with him previously as well. Well, he's one of them. He's kind of been linked everywhere. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think those would be the most kind of. It's good to see now. I think one thing that slowed down is this is a massive tangent, but I do think it's slowed down how well England have done as a national side. The fact that we have a lot of foreign players come to the Premier League and do incredibly well. But then our youngsters don't really do that as much. So, it is good to see the likes of Sancho go away, not just sit on the bench at I mean, he'd start from now, but he wasn't happy to sit on the bench at Man City. No one else was really sniffing around him. So he could have easily fallen into a lower league or just rotted on the bench. But for him to go to a foreign country and do really well there and build a name for himself, and now he's not playing in the Premier League but still starting for England, it's good to see. If you look at the likes of Belgium, I don't think they're one of the best teams in the world. I don't think not a single one of their starting 11 plays in the Belgium league. Do they? They're either Premier League or La Liga or Serie A. So it's only going to be healthy if more of our youngsters start to see that as another option. And it means our domestic clubs will have to kind of up their games to keep their top talent. Just because you're Man City or Man United, and these hot youngsters, fucking hell, that was a creepy way to put it. These up and coming youngsters these sexy little lads, these hot youngsters, they're not going to think, they're my only options. They're going to think, if Dortmund come sniffing or Bayern, PSG, Madrid, wherever, I'm going to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we're seeing quite a few youngsters going over to Germany and stuff now, like Ethan Ampadu's over there, Ademola
Chelsea
Lookman's
always
out there.
kind of send a lot on loan, don't they?
Yeah,
I forgot Lookman was over there. Is that Red Star, I think, isn't it? Lookman.
yeah.
Not Red Star, Red Bull.
Leipzig.
Red Bull, yeah. That's her, man.
They're taking a lot of players over there now. Like even some of the more obscure ones. Like I'm a Liverpool fan, and we've got this kid called Nathaniel Phillips. He's a centre back. Don't think he's ever played for us. He's about 2021, and he's over at Stuttgart at the moment and doing like really fucking well. So
sounds familiar, maybe through like FIFA Wonder Kids. But yeah, I don't think he has played. That Harvey Elliott definitely looks good for Liverpool though. Looks like a little shitbag, but yeah, he looks a hell of a player. He played really well against Villa. The League Cup game which you fielded your youngsters for, and it
took a hammering.
Yeah. Like I mean, we won 5-0, but you arguably played better than us for large periods of the game. It's just, they were kids, but he was one of the best players on the pitch. And there was some 30-year-old blokes up against this little 16-year-old Scouse lad, and he did really well.
I do like him. He looks really good. I just can't like him as a player because he looks like he should be selling pills in Tenerife or something.
His haircuts are horrendous, but so's Grealish's, and I fucking love him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah,
he's linked with us in the summer, and I would quite like to see it, to be honest.
He's linked with everyone. He's linked with absolutely everyone. I don't know what will happen, to be honest. If we stay up and we think next season's going to be kind of same again, or mid-table obscurity, then go. But I think if we stay up and the owners show ambition and they're like, we're going to build the team around you, here's a list of names that we're going to buy, and we're going to push for top 6, 7, then he might as well stay. Do you know what I mean?
Do agree,
I think he would, because he is a Villa lad through and through. He's been at the club since he was 8. There's pictures of him. I'm sure he said that he, I'm sure when he scored at Old Trafford, and he said it was one of his favourite grounds. A lot of United fans were saying, like he's a secret United fan, he wants to come here. Like, no, he just said it. He said the same thing about Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? There's pictures of him when he was a little kid with like Paul Merson and wearing a Villa kit. Do you know what I mean? Like he's about as Aston Villa as one bloke physically can get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you don't have to fucking support or even like Man United at all to consider playing at Old Trafford a special moment, dear.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you score a really fucking good goal and you're captain in your boyhood team back in the Premier League when the season before, when this time last year we were 13th in the Championship. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting one because I think we've got a solid enough core with the likes of Heaton, Mings, and McGinn. We've got enough there, and Matt Target links up with him really well. We've got enough there that there's only arguably maybe 3 key ingredients that, like, if they said, oh, look, we're signing this striker, this winger, and this centre-back or this defensive midfield, then he might think, yeah, fair enough, this is, I'm going to do this. We've got billionaire, I think we've got like the 3rd or 4th richest owners in the league. We might have gone down one now, Newcastle have been taken over, but we've got enough money that if we stay up, we don't have to sell. So it'll only be if the player wants the move that we'll have to, that they'd allow it. And, if he does go on to a top 4 club and play Champions League football, I think for most Villa fans now, he's going to go with their blessing, because he stayed when he didn't have to, and he dragged us back to the Premier League. And he's a fighter. He plays his socks off week in, week out. No one's going to knock him if he goes on and has a great career and plays Champions League football and plays for England. Even if it is for Liverpool or City or United or Chelsea. But yeah, I think he'll stay for as long as he can until the point where he thinks he has to go for his career. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And
if we go down, he's gone, obviously.
I think he's got to, really. But
yeah,
I'd love to see him at Liverpool, to be honest. I think he'd fit our system really well.
I don't know if he would fit your system. Would you play him in centre mid or on the wing?
I'd play him as like a kind of like a cam role, so put him in. But like for me personally, I'd probably say that my ideal team, if he joined us, would be having Henderson and Fabinho as midfielders, and then Grealish in as the cam behind Firmino.
Yeah,
but
that's the way that would have to work. You know what? He doesn't actually get enough credit for how good he is defensively as well.
Yeah.
Like, he is good. He's a strong player. I know he gets knocked a lot because he's the most fouled player in the league, but that's because he can draw a foul, because he holds the ball that close to his feet that if he can't get past you, he's going to make you foul him and win a free kick. Do you know what I mean? But so people think he's lightweight, but he's fucking not. He's a big bloke.
Definitely. Yeah, he's a good player.
He's tough. So yeah, he's one of them. I think I think Villa fans will still, if we do get down, or even if we stay up and he moves on, we'll still want to see him do well. It's like when Milner left, and it was quite good to see Milner went on to win everything you could win in football, because he deserved it, because he was a really good player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was never disrespectful to the club, but just outgrew us in a sense. Just as we come to the end of that Martin O'Neill era, if we were sixth, then if we'd have pushed on and hit Champions League levels, our plans got scuppered then, because just as we were starting to do that, City got taken over and started becoming a lot bigger. I think we were, because originally it wasn't about the big six, it was the big four. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Tottenham and City weren't even in the equation. It was Liverpool, Arsenal, United, and Chelsea, and it looked like Villa were going to be the ones to break that. Well, there was one, I think it was 2010. I'm sure we were second in January, and then ended up just falling off towards the end of the season. But if City didn't get taken over, and we'd have just clinged on and clinched fourth, the likes of Milner, Barry, Young, Downing would have obviously stayed and done really well with us. But obviously it didn't quite pan out, and players like that did sort of outgrow us because we couldn't compete anymore.
Yeah.
With City and the rest of the big boys. But yeah. So if Grealish goes, then we'll kind of wish him well. Don't think he'll ever disrespect the club, and maybe it's come back one day when he's a little bit past it and been drinking too much. But
yeah. No, I think he's. Whatever happens, if Villa stay up, I think it'd be good to see him stay there. But if they go down, I think he's got to go, really. But
yeah, 100%. He's 23, 24 now, so yeah, he needs to, really. It's not like when Tottenham came in for him a couple of years ago, he probably, in theory, should have gone, but we suddenly got the money that we could afford to keep him. He stayed, and he earned his best for a little period, but then he got given the captain's armband, and he fucking dragged us to the Premier League last year. Don't know if you remember, he come back from injury, and we went on that 10-game win streak, which is he come back from injury, we give him the captain's armband, we went on a 10-game win streak. It was when do you remember when the Birmingham City fan punched him and he scored the winning goal? That might be one of my favourite football memories, Grealish scoring the winner in that game. You couldn't write it. I'd rather Grealish score that 1-0 than us have beaten 5-6-0. Do you know what I mean? It was just that sweet. He got punched, got up, and just scored and jumped in the crowd. Like, that was unreal. That was.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That was good to see. I think even a lot of Birmingham fans must have thought, "Oh, fucking fair play to him."
Yeah. Because there's some that give it loads and think it, try and make out it was funny what happened, but there is some that are like, nah, that was bang out of order. Fan going on and trying to assault a player. Do you know what I mean? And even they were like, yeah, fair enough. He's had his day. That was the moment where I think even neutral fans across the country were like, yeah, that was fucking brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely. You never
definitely.
get that involved in another. You never really care as much about another city's derby, do you? But when something like that happens, suddenly you're like, yeah, it's a different kettle, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, man. Yeah, I loved seeing that as well, to be fair. But the next one is if you could go anywhere in the world for your next trip or holiday or whatever, where's top of your list of places you want to go?
So the next place I've got booked is Marrakesh. Meant to go at the very end of August, so hopefully that still happens. But in terms of where I'd really like to go to Japan.
Yeah,
I think that would be interesting. I've never been to America as well. I'd like, to be honest, I don't even think I've been out of Europe, if I'm honest. So yeah, I'd like to do Japan, America, and I'm gonna go with them too.
nice. Yeah, Japan's top of my list as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I've not been to America yet either, so I am actually, if all goes to plan, obviously with what's going on at the moment, I'm going over at the end of the year it was meant to be for Town Business 3.
Oh, really?
It looks like they might be doing Blackout in LA around the time that they were meant to do Town Business 3, so I might just go to that instead. But
yeah. If that's the one that you said, was it that one you said might have twerk Diz?
Yeah, obviously the Blackout concept, you never know what's going to be on the card, but apparently twerk Diz is worked out for the headliner. So
fucking hell, yeah, that would be yeah. I'd like to go to. If I'm going into, I'd more so like to go to a URL event than a King of the Dot, just because it's more different to what we get over here in terms of events. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? URL just doesn't really bother me, to be honest.
Yeah. It didn't with me for a while. You know what really helped me get into URL though? The Ruin Your Day watches. I think that helps you get a better understanding of what's going on and what they're referencing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do agree, but like for me, it's URL is like it's a different ball game to battle rap as a whole, in the sense that I find that 70% of everyone's material isn't direct to their opponent and can be said to anyone. And like
it's more like it's more of a competition than a battle. Do you know what I mean? They're just trying, like you said, they're trying to just outdo each other a bit. There's obviously exceptions to that, but I can see your argument with that. But I kind of don't mind the indirect stuff, to be honest, as much.
I don't dislike it. It's just I've got kind of a list of people that I like that are on the URL roster, and if they're not in the battle, I won't watch it. Like who
do you like?
I'm obviously a big Rum Nitty fan. Geechee. I really like Shug. I like Twerk. I really like Glue Easy.
Yeah. It's quite a decent list.
Averb, I've always been a huge fan of as well.
Yeah,
but
Averb's great.
I don't like Tay-Rock.
I do and I don't. Sometimes he's amazing. Sometimes he's not.
I like him as part of Gun Titles. I thought they were sick.
Gun Titles are great.
But
Tay-Rock
is just all performance to me.
Yeah, he's very take it or leave it for me. When he's good, I quite like Chess.
I like Chess.
Yeah, I tell you what's quite a good battle. Have you seen Big T versus Jack Boy?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
that's a good battle. That it's just so well filmed, and I don't know what. There's something about the way Jack Boy, the way he looks and the way he raps, he's just really interesting to watch. Do you know what I mean?
I do like Jack Boy a lot.
Yeah, but again, though, it's when he's on form, isn't it?
Hit and miss, yeah.
But yes, there's a fair few guys you like. I get what you mean, though, that there's a lot of mediocre, but there is a lot of fucking really good ones as well.
It's a bit soured for me as well, because I think my fave, if I had to pick my favourite URL battler, it's probably Briz Rothstein.
Right,
and he's not obviously battling now, and for me they book Arsenal or not. I'm really not that big of an Arsenal fan. I think he's always done better over here than he has over there, to be completely honest. And
I can see that. I tell you what, he was good versus Geechee.
He was,
and he was very good versus. Yeah, he was very good versus Twerk.
He was,
was over. It was URL, but it was England. So, but yeah, he was really good in that. But
both
I get what you mean.
Geechee and Twerk seem to just bring out the best of everyone that they battle. Because Geechee versus Surf, that's probably the best Surf that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He was incredible in that, and Nitty as well against Geechee. Obviously, it was a pre-filmed one, but
it's still a fucking great battle. Nitty was great versus Twerk as well. Clips beat Twerk as well. Clips was actually really good versus Twerk. Everyone talks about Twerk's first, but the second and third, I thought Clips took. I thought he broke down. You know what? As much as, like you said, Clips is one that gets a lot of criticism for being lazy. Clips's, I think it's his second. He's arguably one of the best breakdowns of twerk style that I've seen. Like he
Yeah,
actually broke down meticulously, really well, twerk style. Yeah, and then who was the other one that I just had in mind as well? Chess was a bit of a breakout versus twerk as well, wasn't he?
yeah.
He was really, yeah. So I get what you mean. Those guys that bring out the best in their opponent. Trying to think of who's like that in the UK.
Raptor.
Yeah, I get what you mean. With that, he can be There's a lot to go at with Raptor, isn't there? You know,
Yeah,
you can have the aggressive angles on him, or you can go the clown angle on him. But there's a lot of material to work with.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, I'm not a Tay-Rock fan. I'm not. I'm not like. I'm not a massive Arsenal fan. I don't like Av.
Mm.
I'm not massive on Calico.
Yeah, Calico, when he's good, he's very good. I think the Calico thing, he's just soured for me because how bad he was when he come over here.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a big deal that we had Calico here. And I get that it wasn't. I think he said I think it was an interview with Tom actually on BRI. He said, like, I asked for Shotty, they offered me Gemini, and I ended up with Raptor. So I get maybe he wasn't the most inspired for it, but you know, you've still been paid to fly halfway across the world and put on in
yeah.
front of a big crowd. Do you know what I mean? You just half-assed, well, not even half-assed it really, did he? Just kind of freestyled it quite badly.
No, exactly. I'm not a fan of T-Top really.
Mm.
I find him a bit boring. I can't even think of who else there is that I liked. Obviously, I like Hollow, but
Yeah,
you can't not like Hollow really. Like
yeah.
I know I'll get stick for this, but I've just never liked Mook.
No, I can see why. I can see why you'd say that.
I just find him boring to watch, man. He's just
Yeah,
doesn't do it for
yeah,
me. I get why he's good. I just don't enjoy it.
yeah. It's just kind of that sort of pioneer thing, isn't it? That he's
Yeah,
just been around forever. So,
I'm
whereas now, like
similar
you
with a
said, the
lot of UK people as well, though. To be
styles
fair,
comes across quite dated. What do you mean?
like
Who,
a lot of people are a big Villain fan, which I've never been a fan. I think Villain's writing is amazing, but his delivery is the most boring thing to watch in the world.
yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. You know, he wasn't good at all versus Oops,
Terrible.
which was a shame. But then, you know, there's always the villain versus UNAM. Do you know what I mean? Which you can go back to, which
Yeah,
obviously was fucking unreal.
yeah. He's had good moments, and like I said, I think his writing is amazing. I'm not saying I think he's shit. I just don't like it. I don't like watching
You're
him
not
battle.
gonna rush to, yeah. No, I get that. That's fair. I think
Everything's
one like
said in
that.
this same like high pitched flow. I just don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's quite grating to listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah, Old English is a little bit like that. In
yeah,
that you can appreciate he's a good writer, but it's kind of a bit grating to listen to.
definitely.
Yeah, so no, that's fair, and it's not something that they can really change. Do you
No.
know what I mean? Which is a shame. Trying to think who else is a bit like that, UK wise. Who go on then? Who's like, without the obvious ones? Who's like some of your go-tos that may be a little bit more obscure?
Double L.
Yeah, Double
I
L's fucking wicked. I'll take that.
love Double L. Who else is there? Bit Ogmios, I guess, is quite obscure, but I'm like huge Ogmios fan.
Yeah.
Like
So,
over in the States, there's quite a few, I suppose. So like I'm like a really, really big fan of like Red Flag and like I'm a big Louis Valentine fan.
Okay. I've seen his name about. I don't think I've watched him, to be honest. Is he on iBattle?
Yeah, he's on iBattle
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
Eddie I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. Eddie was there's one. Is it Eddie I Real Sick or Eddie I
Yeah,
Red Flag? That would be Real Sick, isn't it? Yeah. I knew
yeah.
he'd had one battle against one of the guys that had come over, and he was really good.
There's a guy that he mainly battles on No Coast, but
Yeah.
a guy called Human.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a few human battles. He's good.
He's fucking really good.
It's not obscure, but we've just not spoke about him. I'm a massive fan of Madflex.
Yeah, same.
I think he's right. He's one that I'd like to put on that dream card, actually.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan as well, but like he's
Tell you what,
unfortunately just hung up his boots as well.
has he?
Yeah.
Bastard. I tell you what, that would have been, because I don't think I found a decent international opponent for Frankie. I think Frankie versus Madflex would be good.
Completely agree, yeah. Yeah, I love that. I'm a huge Real Deal fan as well, which I don't think he gets mentioned enough.
Not as much as he should.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't really think of who else I'd like really, really like at the moment, to be honest. But
it's a tough one.
Big K, obviously, and like Saurus and all those guys, but they're go-to answers, really.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Ill Will fan.
Yeah. Okay.
And the battle that I want to see most, if I was putting together a card, would be Ill Will versus Pat Stay.
Yeah. Fucking hell, Pat Stay needs to be on my card as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's bad, isn't it? Like the amount of people that you just forget in the moment type of thing. But
yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking Americans, I was thinking more URL, and then I've just missed out Pat. Obviously he's been on it, but
Yeah, he's quite new to it though, isn't he, really? But
yeah, and he's a little bit different to your usual URL battle, isn't it? Have you seen him versus Shug?
Yes.
When he's in the flowery suit.
And he says something like, I turned up in a flowery suit
for it.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And then it's quite obvious. It gets a big reaction, which is so unjustified for me, because then Shug does a rebuttal, but it's kind of verbatim what Pat told him to say, and two, Twerk whispers in his ear just before. So it's as if Pat had to give him the punchline and Twerk had to give him the setup, and then he got a crazy reaction for it. I'm like, no, you needed to do more than that to get any credit off of me. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? As someone that's actually, without blowing my own trumpet, as someone that actually does rebuttal, at least tries and does okay out of it, I expect a bit more from a rebuttal than that. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, he just said the metal I'm raising, flower suit, now you dress for the occasion or some shit like that. And Pat had just said, flower suit, funeral home, dress for the. It was just. I don't even know what got us onto that subject, but just that one moment, just I don't know, got way more reaction than it deserved. And obviously on URL, when someone gets a reaction, the next 2 minutes of the fucking YouTube video is just like static crowd noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before anyone starts rapping again.
Yeah, it's a weird one, but I think Pat, for me right now, is best in the world.
Again, I can see why. Again, he's one of them that you can tick every box. Yeah. Like, he's a big dude. He's funny. He's charismatic. He can be aggressive, and he can really write as well. Like, he can just sort of every aspect of battling that he's just solid at. Do you know what I mean? There's not like a chink in his armor as such. I think that's what does sort of separate some of those real top dogs, really, in that, you know, they're not just, obviously they have their style, but there's not just one aspect that they rely on. You know, they're not just a writing heavy guy or a multi heavy, you know. And some guys are like, oh yeah, they say, oh, their pen's incredible, and it's like, that's code for their shit performance. You know, it's like when someone says a girl's got a bubbly personality, it's like a nice way of saying she's not very good looking. Do you know what I mean?
No, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Have you seen a bit unrelated, but have you seen what Pat's doing at the moment with his like online interviews and stuff?
No.
So if you go to his channel, he's doing like Instagram, he's doing interviews over Instagram Live, and he's getting like massive names on there. Like he's had Royce the 5'9" on.
Yeah.
He's had not really a massive name to us, but in Canada he is, I guess. But Mad Child's been on there.
Okay, yeah.
He's had Organic on, and like Hollow the Don's been on there and stuff. Who else has he had on there? I can't remember off the top of my head now. He's had Crooked, Lil Flip or whatever his name is, R.A. the Rugged Man. He's had loads of people on there, man. It's been quite interesting to see. And the room, like, I don't know how true this is, but apparently Eminem's planning to do something either with him or with the whole My Expert Opinion thing that Math Hoffa's doing.
All right. Checking out, that'd be good.
Yeah, they both seem to be doing well on that front, to be fair. But yeah,
I might have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a good watch if you get a bit of spare time. Like, but the final question, and to be honest, this one's caused quite a bit of fucking uproar so far. But you can pick one sweet and one savoury, but what's the go-to snack?
Ooh, fucking hell, that is tough. That is. One sweet and one savoury. All right. So sweet, I'm gonna go. Oh no. So I was gonna go something. I was about to say Snickers for sweet, but then I was probably gonna go something nut based as my savoury snack as well. And I think if I'm only allowed one snack and they're both nuts, it's just going to be too much. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go back on myself now. So one sweet and one savoury. I'm quite a biscuit fan, so I might end up with just like chocolate chip cookies or something like that. I think I'm more of a biscuit. I'm more likely to eat a biscuit than I'm a chocolate bar, I think. So yeah, gonna go with, but like not like them little poxy Maryland ones. I mean like something like decent, like the size of like a beer mat. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
Size wise, you know, about at least a good centimetre or two thick. You know, where the big chunks. I don't like them little poxy like Maryland's chocolate cookies. I mean, I want the real like
Subway size cookies.
No, a little bit. Well, yeah, obviously they're fucking great, but you know the packs you get, like almost like the M&S own brand ones or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, where they're just generic cookies, like they're not even branded ones, but they're just fucking decent sized biscuits.
Yeah.
I think.
No, that's a good shout.
Yeah, I think something like that. Subway cookies are obviously great. But again, it's in the moment, isn't it? Really, It's not very often I have a Subway, and I'm not going to go out of my way to go there for the cookies. Do you know what I mean? They're not as good as they used. I swear they're not as good as they used to be. Subway cookies. They used to always be quite soft and doughy, whereas now I think they're just, just quite, overdone, biscuity. I don't know. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? Or am I going fucking mental there? But I
Do you know
swear they
what? I
used to.
can't remember the last time I had one, to be honest. I haven't had Subway for years, but
There's a Subway like opposite my girlfriend's house, so I've probably been there like twice in the last 6 months. But then the time before that I'd been to Subway was like years ago. So whether this is just a little shitty Subway in Coventry, or they've really let their standards drop on the cookie aisle, on the cookie front, I'm afraid. But yeah, they used to be like half baked, like probably, there's a chance you still might get salmonella off the egg or something. Do you know what I mean? They used to be like almost cake.
yeah.
If you pick it up by the edge, it used to start to bend, whereas now they're like just a big biscuit. Do you know what I
Fair
mean?
one. Yeah.
So some fancy big but not too big, but big chocolate chunk cookies is my sweet snack. And then savoury. I quite like. Do you know them Graze nuts? Do you know the brand Graze? Graze?
No, I don't think I do.
No. Well, they do loads of like different types of nuts and healthy snacks and that, but they've got some nuts. I think they've got some like pumpkin seeds and almonds, but then they've got like cashews and they're like salt and peppery. But yeah, they're like salty, peppery cashews. I think they are really good. Yeah, I'm gonna go with them. Salt and pepper Graze nuts.
Nice. No, I like those
Yeah.
answers, man. That's good. And I feel a bit bad because I've bitched about them on every episode since, but like LS Dean said chocolate coated raisins, and I couldn't fucking believe it, to be honest. I thought that was horrendous. And then
I like them. I can see why he said that. I don't think
oh,
that's
they're
a
hanging.
horrendous answer. Yeah, and you know
Hanging,
what?
mate.
And you know what? Just to go back, this might make you question me even more. Subway go-to cookie is oatmeal and raisin. Has to be
No, I'm with
way
you there.
better. Yeah, raisin cookies are way better than the chocolate ones.
Yeah, I'm not raisins when they're in stuff. I'm absolutely fine with, but
Chocolate covered raisins.
it's just two completely different
I
tastes
think.
of sweetness. Like it's
Yeah, I get
horrible.
what you mean. I'm guessing you don't like Turkish delight, do you?
I love it.
You do, yeah? I
Yeah.
thought that's basically the same. It's not the same thing, but it's very similar. When you're saying
No,
those two
no, I don't
different
know.
tastes. No, I've got time for a chocolate raisin. I think they're some of the go-to pick and mix sweets. Do you know what I mean? They're quite a little bit sophisticated pick and mix sweets, I'd say.
No,
You know
chocolate
what?
raisins are like when you're a kid and there's
I
nothing
tell,
else in the cupboard, you eat them,
yeah.
to
I
me.
tell you
But
what are good as well. You know the kind of yogurt covered ones, the white ones. The yogurt covered cranberries are really good.
yeah, I am with you there, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like
Right. So you
Holland and
like
Barrett pick and
yeah.
mix or whatever.
So you like Turkish delight. You like yogurt covered cranberries, but you're giving it that much stick about chocolate covered raisins. I think that's a bit harsh.
Uh, no, I disagree. They're rank. Not a fan
Mm,
whatsoever, but
mm.
especially as a go-to snack anyway. But
Yeah. I tell you what's good because when the pick and mix as well also has chocolate covered peanuts. So when you kind of mix them together and you don't really know, you kind of know what you're having because they're different sizes, but you pretend you don't really know, and you just grab like a fistful and it ends up a mix of raisiny, peanutty chocolate. That's fucking good.
to be honest, you have just reminded me as well. To be fair, I would get some stick if I was answering the question because one of my favourite things ever was like the coffee flavoured Revels. So
Oh no, you horrible bastard.
yeah,
That proper ruins my day, that does. You know why it ruins my day? Because they're the same size as the orange one, and the orange ones are the best ones.
no, the
So,
orange are my least favourite. They're fucking
oh, what are
horrible.
you doing? So no, so that's why I hate the coffee ones because I don't like coffee, but I also am expecting delicious zesty chocolate orange, and you're hitting me with this fucking horrible chocolate coffee. So it's, do you know what I mean? If they were horrible, but you could identify them, I wouldn't be as against them. But it's the fact they're little sneaky fuckers, and they pretend they're chocolate orange. That's why I don't like the coffee rebels.
There's a bit of an underlying grudge there, isn't there?
Yeah, you've just brought it back up, to be honest. You really wound me up about it.
No, but even with chocolate raisins, it's not the worst answer by any means. Jolly J said fucking Marmite Twiglets, and I nearly cut him off there and then.
Oh my God, that's an awful answer.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Horrendous. No, but mate, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. We've gone for over 2 hours now, actually, so it's one of the longer episodes as well. But is there anything that you wanted kind of promoting in the description to the video? Any social links or anything like that?
I mean, I'm at the Will Ross. I'm basically everything. So like, you had to have me on Skype for this at the Will Ross. That's my Instagram, my Twitter, my fucking Xbox if you want to play FIFA. Annoyingly, I had to download TikTok to make that one video. I couldn't get at the Will Ross on TikTok, and I was so angry about it. So I was like, that is my thing for everything. So who is this guy that has been waiting and wanted that name, and he didn't get it on any other social media, and he fucking beat me to TikTok. That's why I'm never going to get on with it as an app. But yeah, plug that, and then so I'm at the Will Ross on everything, and then if you check out me versus BEZ on Premier Battles, that's just come out. You could boost up the numbers for that, and leave me a comment as well, because there's a lot of Americans in there saying I lost, even though the judges clearly gave it to me 3-0. So leave it.
And you also clearly won the battle as well. So
I mean, in my head, I think so as well. But yeah,
I thought he was okay, but
he was much better than expected. His first round was quite good, and for me, he had. So I'm going back on a tangent and talking again, but he had moments where, and I see a lot of guys do this, where, do you know when a comedian's telling a joke and you kind of know where it's going? He had a few bits where his setup was good, and I was like, oh, he's going to say this, which will be really good, and then he'd just go a bit left. Like, there was one, I can't remember what he was referencing something, and then his punchline, he just went, the gun goes pap 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 pap, and I was like, you've just lost it. Like, you were onto something there. What are you doing? But yeah, go and watch it and tell me if I'm wrong, and tell me if I lost or if I won.
No, I think you definitely won that. There's no question for me, but yeah, leave the Americans to their opinions, I suppose. But
I'm entitled to them.
Yeah, I'll chuck that in the description box anyway. Hopefully get a couple more views on it and stuff. But
yeah, wicked.
No, but thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it, and hopefully get you on again in the future.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I'll talk to you soon.
Nice one. Take care, man.
Cheers. Bye.